Dear Chavedim, Agut, Erev Shabbos, we are dedicating these words Le'ilui Nishmas Menashe ben Salomon Saleh, may his neshama have an Aliyah, Amen. This Shabbos Yud Beis Tamuz. Yud Beis Tamuz is the Chag of Geula of the Rebbe, the Friedrich Rebbe. And Bahashgacha Pratis, this week, this Shabbos, we read the double portions of Chukas and Balak. Towards the end of the portion of Chukas, when the Torah is telling us that Moshe Rabbeinu sent messengers right before he engaged in battle against Sichon and the Amorites, so the Torah uses the words Vayishlach Yisrael Malachim, that the Jewish people sent the spies, and Rashi right away asks, no, Moshe Rabbeinu sent the spies. To which Rashi famously answers, that is to teach all of us that Moshe hu Yisrael, v'Yisrael heim Moshe, shahanasi hu hakoil. Yeah, Moshe Rabbeinu sent, and the Yidden sending means one and the same, because we are one with the Rebbe, and the Rebbe is one with us. So therefore, celebrating the Friedrich Rebbe's Chag of his redemption, as he himself writes, means it's not only a redemption for the Rebbe, but it's our redemption, a very special Shabbos. On top of that, this Shabbos is Shabbos before we're going to make the 39th Siyum HaRambam. God willing, this week on Yud Zayin Tamuz, Shiva Asa B'Tamuz, and God willing, it's going to be a day of Yom Tiv. Shiva Asa B'Tamuz will be the 39th time that those who learn 3 chapters of Rambam a day, those who learn the daily mitzvah from Sefer HaMitzvahs will conclude the entire cycle. Those of us who are learning 1 Perek of Rambam a day will be celebrating our 13th Bar Mitzvah, our 13th cycle, meaning on the 18th day, this coming Friday, we are all going to restart our daily Limud HaRambam. So I would like to share some words and share a story that certainly will inspire all of us to get on the bandwagon, to make a hachlata. And as the Rebbe pointed out many times, 1 step at a time, let's make a 2-week hachlata. So we should chaparein and get the end of the cycle and right away go into the beginning of the new cycle, and Hashem will help that you will inspire me, and I will inspire you to continuously learn the daily Shir and Rambam by sharing the following introduction. Indeed, in both of the Parshas of this week, we read about engaging in battle. Chukas has towards the end the big battles that we engaged with the Amorites, with Sichon, their king, the giant, with the next giant, Og, the king of Bashan, the tremendous miracles that Hashem performed for us, how we overcame and won those battles. We were mamish victorious. The whole parsha of Balak is about a large struggle and battle. True, not on the battlefield, not on the physical battlefield, but it was a huge struggle. They were trying to harm us, v'chulei, v'chulei. And furthermore, as we say in the Shema, that life can be divided into 2 parts. You have the b'shiftecha b'veisecha part. There are the moments of life that we are living in our homes. And then we have the u'belechtecha b'derech. Then we have the part of life in which we're out there engaging in battle. And how true is that in nowadays? Right before the coming of Mashiach, that there's so much uncertainty out there. The challenges appear to so many to be even greater as they were earlier. That we all need to derive koyach. What power will I have to overcome these challenges by properly facing them down and succeeding? And for that, the Torah tells us, and nach b'hashgacha pratis, those of us, myself included, who have the schus to be learning the daily Perek of Rambam, this Shabbos, we learned the 7th chapter of Hilchas Malachim, and the whole Perek is speaking about the special kohen that was designated, that was appointed, and actually anointed to be the one offering inspirational words to the troops right before they engaged in battle. Now, what does a soldier need to hear? When we are going out there, and it's challenging, what is the most important that we need to know, that we need to feel, that we need to experience? I'll tell you the one thing, that we are not alone. And indeed, this is the crux of the words that are being shared by the Kohen Mashiach Melchama. By telling the people, and he's quoting words in the Pasuk, that thou shalt not have any fear. and don't panic and don't buckle in the battle. Why? Because ki Hashem Elokeichem hahoylech imachem. That's the nakuda. Because Hashem is with you. You know, loneliness, being alone, is that which most than anything else takes away our power. And in the reverse, in the positive, knowing, feeling that God is with me. If God is with me, then there's nothing I cannot do. And I would like to share with you the following amazing story that just happened a few months ago. And all of this will lead us back into our, God willing, strong hachlata of rededicating ourselves to learn the daily Rambam. Rabbi Avraham Moshe Klar, a Yid that was born in Poland in the early 30s, moved b'hashgacha pratis from Poland to Argentina and raised a beautiful family of children and grandchildren that are oiskim b'toiro u'b'mitzvahs. He decided towards the end of his life, a few years ago, to do the mitzvah of settling in the Holy Land, and he made an Aliyah to live in Eretz Yisrael. He and his family settled in a neighborhood called Shomer HaChoimes, and he continued to live the same life that he lived in Argentina. He was a Fruma Yid, and there was something unique about this Rabbi Avraham Moshe, which was that since he became Bar Mitzvah, as he was inspired by his Bar Mitzvah teacher that he remembers. We're going back now almost 80 years ago in Argentina. A Rav by the name of Rabbi Ze'ev Greenberg who told this then young Avraham Moshe, take the Sefer Kitzur Shulchan Aruch and learn one halacha a day from it. And this concept of him learning every day a halacha from the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch stuck with him, and you would never see him walking without his Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. This is how he lived in Argentina. This is how his new neighbors in the Holy Land saw him, that he is walking with the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. They're two friends that never parted. Sadly, a few months ago, as we mentioned, Chav Zayin Nisan, now Tavshin Pei. Now it was a Monday night. Monday was Chavav. Chav Zayin Nisan is a very special day in our calendar, Lubavitcher calendar. We remember Monday night, he passes away. Now, being that sadly all of this happened during the coronavirus, and there were many people that were passing a few months ago in Eretz Yisrael, on top of that, for those who know, the Chevre Kadisha in Yerushalayim have many minhagim that they're very strict to. Firstly, no one who passes away is allowed to remain unburied even for one night. So if a Yid passes away, even at night, he's buried that night. Number two, you have to have a minyan by a burial, but because of the coronavirus, and they are working, the Chevre Kadisha members are working in close proximity, they made a rule that only 5 people of the Chevre Kadisha will attend one levaya and one burial. Because if there's a larger group working together, if one of them, God forbid, would get the virus, then the others will have to quarantine, and they were needed. So they made a klal, no more than 5, which means that the family has to provide at least 5 members. Don't forget that in Yerushalayim, the Chevre Kadisha, they do not allow sons, they do not allow even grandsons to be mamish by the burial. You can go out to the Har HaZeisim or to the Har HaManuchas, but you have to be a little bit removed, aside of many, many other minhagim. But let's come back to the minyan. So normally you have to have 5 family members, taka, not sons, not grandsons, but you can have a son-in-law, you can have other, close relatives, as long as they are not sons or grandsons, that can go in Yerushalayim to the burial. But this Klar family, some of them still lived in Argentina, and B'chlal then you were unable even to travel to Eretz Yisrael. The ones who lived in Eretz Yisrael, who was there? Sons were there, grandsons were there. There were a couple of son-in-laws, but they were kahanim. So it turned out, that this Klar family had very few family members that would be allowed to go to the actual burial. Now, the time that they got together in Shamgar, in the funeral home in Yerushalayim, was 1 a.m. Kaddish, it was Nisan, no Noah Hespedim are made. They said Kaddish, Tehillim, Kaddish. There were plenty of people for that. But now going out to Har HaZeisim, Chevre Kadisha had a van, 5 people, and they realized 1 a.m., right, during the coronavirus, that there's only 4 people from the family that are able to go along for the burial. And that's a dilemma. You need to have a minyan. They were not expecting to find a Yid 1 a.m. in the morning in Yerushalayim. B'chal, people were staying indoors. I think there were still rules then that people cannot go outside. So the Chevra Kadisha, with no other option, decided we'll have to break our own rule, and we're going to call a sixth member of the Chevra Kadisha to join us. As they are about to do that, appears an elderly Yid. And he walks over to them and he says, I am going to the burial. He's speaking to them in Yiddish. So Avraham Moshe's son, Rabbi Elyahu, may he be well, who related this story, it says, I never saw that Yid in my life. I asked him, why are you going? Who are you to us? We never saw you before. So he responded in Yiddish. No, he says, ich bin a Korev. I'm a relative. Elyahu Klar says, I had no idea that we have relatives in Yerushalayim. They already made Yishuv Eretz Yisrael for over 3 years. What relative? So they were convinced that he's confusing them with another burial. Sadly, every 30 minutes there was another Levaya in Shamgad, and every 30 minutes another group went out to Harazeisim or to Haramanuchas. So he told him, to which family are you related to? So he says, I'm related to Avraham Moshe. And with that, he went into their car. Elyahu and the other sons who would have wanted to engage more with this newfound relative, they Bechlal didn't go along. Whoever was there, he sat in the car. They went to Harazeisim. He was the 10th Jew. They got a minyan. They did the burial. On the way back, first they picked up, to get everyone home, they picked up the son Elyahu. So Elyahu finally has another opportunity to sit for a few moments in the car with this newfound relative, and he asks him, Rabbi Yid, what's your name? So he responds, my name is Gansfried. And before they had time to continue the conversation, this Reb Gansfried asked to be left off. He asked to go, and they dropped him off. And Elyahu was thinking to himself, Gansfried, what do we have with Gansfried? And then he chapped. Rab Shloime Gansfried wrote the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. And he realized that it must have been that this, his father, who every day learned a halacha from the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, became so close that Rab Shloime Gansfried went with him. And if there was a need for a minyan, he came down from his place in Gan Eden, and he was the 10th Jew to make sure that Avraham Moshe is buried with a minyan. And my friends, how powerful is that? That those of us who have the schus, that until now we are dedicated to the learning of the daily Rambam, and all of us have the schus and have the power and have the ability to get onto this bandwagon. My friends, we are not alone. Indeed, Bechlal Hashem Elokeichem is always with us. But to add to that, in a more revealed way, understanding that we as Hasidim, the Rebbe is with us. And now that we are going to rededicate ourselves to the Limud Yomi of Rambam, we should know that the Rambam is walking with you. And the Rambam is walking with me. We are not alone. And with that confidence and with that power, indeed, we will be able to overcome all of our challenges. And v'oid v'hu ha'ikr, to overcome the ikr challenge, which is the challenge of Golus, by bringing the Aleph of Geula into our Golus. And may all of us merit to celebrate the real Chag HaGeula of Yud Beis Tamuz together with Mashiach Tzidkenu, celebrating the Geula, who amitzvah v'hashlema. May that happen now. Amen. Chevra, a good Shabbos and a good Yom Tov.